hugely impressive in qualifying earlier on. Candace Kasiri coming to the end of his outlap before he takes his place 15th on the grid. The RP Motorsport team in general having a slightly disappointing qualifying period, and here is our pole sitter Colton Herter, leaving it until the latter race at the Red Bull Ring, plus the win in race 1 in Jerez. And he will pick his way through the field towards that pole position. Alongside him on the front row of the grid is 2016 Euroformula Open champion, and he considered about enjoying this weekend, but he has won a race in all but one of the weekends we've had so far this year. He's won 7 races in total. Can he make it an 8th win, or even an 8th and 9th victory? Diego Menchaca, 4th in the championship, 4 podiums as well, yet to finish better than 3rd, and will be hoping to finish the season on a high. Mexican driver low in the cockpit of the Campos car. Now this is a very interesting wildcard entry this weekend. Dorian Boccolacci, one of the stars of the Formula Renault 2-litre Euro Cup this year, making his debut with the Teo Martin Motorsport team. And Boccolacci has been bang on the pace from the moment the free practice started on Thursday. He shares the 3rd row of the grid with his Teo Martin Motorsport teammate Nikita Zlobin. Most impressive qualifying performance of the year for Zlobin to line up in 6th place, and now he's at the front of the field. Will he be able to play that through to a decent race result? 7th on the grid for Kevin Andres, the Carlin driver. 2nd of the Carlin cars on the grid, and Andres 7th would be an equal of his 2nd best results of the year. His top result has been a 6th at the Red Bull Ring. 8th on the grid for Damiano Fioravanti, and it's been a frustrating run into the season for Fioravanti. 2 retirements interspersed with a couple of podiums. Tatiana Calderon then lines up 9th on the grid with Amaya Weidenheithen completing the top 10, and once more Carlin getting all 3 of their cars into the top 10 in qualifying. Weidenheithen, another driver just looking for that breakthrough result, 7th at the Red Bull Ring, his best of the season. The grid in full then, Colton Herter and Ferdinand Habsburg on the front row from Leonardo Pulcini and Diego Menchaca, the all Campos 2nd row. Then it's the all team Teo Martin Motorsport. Row 3, Boccolacci and Zlobin ahead of Andres and Fioravanti, but Damiano should push through from 8th. The 5th row, Tatiana Calderon and Amaya Weidenheithen. Then Silverstone winner Anthony Patak lines up in 11th alongside Julio Moreno. And Moreno, another driver looking for a breakthrough result. Vasily Romanov, very impressive in the Drive X car in Jerez, but he starts 13th ahead of another debutant, Javier Lovaras, in the 3rd Teo Martin Motorsport car, ahead of the all-tie row 8, Candace Kasiri and Taner Sathien Thirikul. Then the field completed by Gulhaizen Abdullayev and Daniel Pranenko in the BVM car. So that is how they line up. 17 laps, the race distance. Although, of course, if we do have the intrusion of a safety car, then we could revert to 35 minutes of time. So the cars all fired up on the grid. The marshals, mechanics all running clear, and then they will be waved away on to their final sighting lap before the penultimate race of the season gets underway. Cars about to head off onto the formation lap ahead of the penultimate Euroformula Open race of the season. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon in Barcelona, and we should be in for a real treat because we've got a large field of cars and a lot of strength in depth. It's Colton Herter who heads off from pole position, leading Ferdinand Habsburg around, then the champion Pulcini, and if he finishes anywhere near Colton Herter, he's going to be the Spanish Formula 3 champion as well at the checkered flag. But there's lots of drivers lower down the order who's going to look to push through the pack. Tatiana Calderon from 9th, Damiano Fioravanti from 8th, and Anthony Patak from 11th are all worth watching for. Julio Moreno is well overdue a breakthrough result, and Vasily Romanov from 13th should make progress from there. And even down in 16th place, Tanat Sathian Thirikul, a regular front runner. There is the Drivers' Championship situation, and it's not that likely that those top 6 places are going to change in the championship standings the way that this second half of the season has unfolded, but who knows. Should remind you that Dorian Boccolacci, Javier Lovras and Vasily Romanov are non-points scoring entrants this weekend, so they're not blocking any points. So for example, if Boccolacci were to win the race, the 25 points for the race victory would go to the first points registered driver who finishes in the race. So even if they finish second on the road, they'd still get the 25 points for the race win. But Boccolacci, I think, will be doing pretty well to take the win from 5th on the grid, but he has been one of the stars of free practice, Dorian Boccolacci. And so he will be hoping to scythe on up through the order. There is Boccolacci. You can tell him apart from teammate Nikita Slobin, by the way, because Boccolacci has got the gold helmet. Slobin has got the helmet in the colours of the car, white, red and blue. So they come to the end of the formation lap. Of course, they're all equipped with the Lara F312 chassis. They all run on the control compound Michelin tyre. As Colton Herter rolls into his pole position, comes to a halt. There is Trevor Carlin, the principal of the Carlin Racing team, here this weekend. Lining up alongside his mechanics, ready for the dash to the pit wall. Daniel Pronenko, slightly problematic qualifying session for him, which is why he starts from 18th in the BVM car. He comes into position now, so it's eyes towards the gantry time as the marshal signals at the rear of the field. The revs start to rise, the count is on, the red lights are on. They go when we're racing in Barcelona. It's a good start from Ferdinand Habsburg. It's a poor getaway, in fact, from Pulcini, who's going to be jumped by Boccolacci as Habsburg and Herter run side by side towards the first turn. But it's the Austrian who gets the jump on the American, and Menchaca tries to sneak second as Herter fights for the lead around the outside, takes the escape route. Pulcini is squeezed by Boccolacci and boxed in behind Menchaca. It's also a good start from Kevin Andres, but he then runs wide at turn 3. They're all cleanly through. Herter has reclaimed the advantage from Habsburg as they fan out behind. Boccolacci is 3rd, Pulcini in 4th, Menchaca slipping down the order somewhat. A poor run for him through turn 4. I wonder if he's picked up a little bit of damage or a puncture, because he suddenly drops right off the pace as Andres and Weidenheithen run side by side out of turn 5. There is the ailing Menchaca at the back of the field in the Campos car. As Andres darts in front of his teammate, Weidenheithen then comes under pressure immediately from Tatiana Calderon and Anthony Patak, and it's Patak in fact who gets the jump on teammate Calderon. Julio Moreno looking to join in as well. Herter leads, Habsburg 2nd, 3rd Boccolacci, up into 4th comes Damiano Fioravanti. Great first lap from Fioravanti, and he elbows Pulcini aside. For one of the first times this year, Leonardo Pulcini having a somewhat hesitant first lap of the race. It's been a good first lap as well for Daniel Pronenko. He moves clear of Tanat Sathian Thirikul and Gulhaizen Abdullayev. So they all slide their way through the final chicane. Still just taking a little bit of time to get heat into the Michelin tyre. Herter leads from Habsburg, then Boccolacci, Fioravanti 4th, Pulcini 5th, Andres, Weidenheithen, Patak, Calderon and Moreno to complete the top 10. And a problem for Pulcini, there's some smoke coming from the front of the Campos car, and as he picked up a puncture, a little bit of damage as he turns through the first corner and gets very, very close to Mayer Weidenheithen. And yes, it's the front wing of Pulcini's car. You can see it's just grounding against the surfaces of the track. It's on the left-hand side, and the support has just been not loose. It's not really delaying Pulcini too much. He's still pressing on as Habsburg challenges Herta for the lead. Looks the outside through turn 5. Colton Herta squeezes Ferdinand Habsburg, but the Austrian keeps his foot in. This is the battle of the brave. Herta gets his nose in front through turn 7 and 8, but Ferdinand Habsburg all over the American's tail as they climb uphill towards turn 9. Habsburg again looks to challenge the inside as they come out. Herta kicks his tail. Boccalacci closing as well. On the brakes into turn 10. Herta withstands this challenge. It's going to be a pretty long 16 laps if Ferdinand Habsburg can keep up this sort of pressure. There's Dorian Boccalacci. Leonardo Pulcini, by the way, is faded all the way to 12th position. We'll surely have to put in for a new nose cone. It's the leading trio of cars jink through the final chicane on to complete the second lap of the race. It's Pedro de la Rosa, one of the principals of the DriveX team. Of course, ex-Formula 1 racer for McLaren, Harrow's HRT and others. It's the leading trio of cars run towards the first turn. Herta with his nose in front of Habsburg. Dorian Boccalacci just tucked up behind Ferdinand Habsburg. It's behind Gulhazen Abdullayev, looking to make a little bit of ground, as is Javier Lovera, both looking to challenge the inside of Tanat Sathi and Thirakul. As the Campos team get to work servicing Leonardo Pulcini, and the Italian driver sent on his way. Colton Herta trying to break away at the front of the field. Now, that's interesting. We have just had confirmation on our timing screen. We rather thought it might be the case that Colton Herta must concede the lead of the race to Ferdinand Habsburg after the turn 1 incident. You might remember that Herta ran wide through turn 1, and race control have decreed that Herta's got to give the lead of the race to Ferdinand Habsburg. Now, quite how Colton Herta is going to manage to execute this without conceding the place to Dorian Boccalacci as well, it's going to take a little bit of doing. Now, here is a replay of it through the first turn. Habsburg to the inside, Herta to the outside. Herta would argue that he had nowhere to run. Race control would argue that he did have the option to use his left foot on something known as a brake, and therefore the decision has been that he must give the place back to Ferdinand Habsburg. It's quite unusual to see it being enforced in such a way, but at least it is better than seeing a drive-through penalty. But as I say, the trick here is going to be for Colton Herta to manage to do this so that he doesn't lose out to Dorian Boccalacci as well. Herta will have picked up this message from the pit wall as he came past this time around. Now, it doesn't specify a time limit for him to do this, but you would suggest that he's going to have to do it sooner rather than later, lest risk a black flag. The problem being that Herta have built out a fairly handy seconds worth of advantage to Ferdinand Habsburg. Herta might also feel that he deserves the right of reply in terms of arguing his case, because it's clearly he didn't really have any option but to go across the escape route, and that's not what he's being penalised for. It's more that he just kept his foot in and claimed the lead. So the Carlin team will be passing that message on to Colton Herta. Herta pushing so hard through turn 9, the tail of the car kicking out on him. So this is the leading trio: Colton Herta, Ferdinand Habsburg and Dorian Boccalacci. They're well clear of Damiano Fioravanti in 4th. Kevin Andres is in 5th, Amaya Weidenreithen in 6th. So we've got all 3 Carlin cars in the top 6. Anthony Psaka, great start for him up to 7th. From Tatiana Calderon, Julio Moreno and then Nikita Zlobin, who completes the top 10. Through the final chicane. Still no sign of Herta conceding that place. And in fact, Herta gives away 0.2 of a second to Ferdinand Habsburg on that last lap. Now, Habsburg not close enough to challenge Herta this time into turn 1. It's the rest of the field streaming through. Some good scraps going on behind, particularly Emea Weidenreuthen under pressure from Patak and Calderon. And also here comes Vasily Romanov to the inside of Kandati Kasiri. Kasiri tries to fight back, but has to get off the power as he runs over the curbs. Place gained by Romanov. He moves up into 12th place. Then we've got this superb scrap headed by Emea Weidenreuthen, Anthony Patak, Tatiana Calderon, Julio Moreno. Nikita Zlobin and then Daniel Kronenko up into 11th just behind them. Confirmation once more, if you needed it, bottom of your screen, about the situation with Colton Herta and Ferdinand Habsburg. It's certainly not happened through sector 1. So we follow this battle through turn 9, just looking out of the commentary box window, which overlooks turn 10. Now this is going to be really interesting because Dorian Boccolacci has moved ahead of Ferdinand Habsburg. So just as Herta backs off the throttle to give the place to Ferdinand Habsburg, he now sees that Dorian Boccolacci is lined up behind him as well. So this gets complicated. Oh, there's contact, and Boccolacci tags Colton Herta, and Herta spins around. And well, that is far from ideal from Colton Herta, and Boccolacci now under real threat from Ferdinand Habsburg. Here is how it all happened. Habsburg ran wide out of turn 9, just as Herta was about to back off and give the place to him. Down the front straight, Boccolacci defends. Herta already up to speed. There he is. Red mist down, one would suspect, as Habsburg goes side by side with Boccolacci through turn 1, launches over the curbs, rejoins behind the Frenchman. And this is his debut in the Euroformula Open, Dorian Boccolacci, and he's doing much as what Ferdinand Habsburg did last year, stepping up from Formula Renault 2 litre and running at the front of the Euroformula Open field here in Barcelona. So the order is Boccolacci from Habsburg and Herta. Here's another look at it, and it was just really inopportune contact from Boccolacci. He tagged Colton Herta's gearbox, and that was just enough to destabilise the Carlin car. That was Habsburg's chance to challenge the Frenchman. But now the challenge for Dorian Boccolacci is going to be, has he got the car in a race set up to last the full 17 laps? Meanwhile, Colton Herta, after that spin, already immediately onto terms with Ferdinand Habsburg. So don't bet against Colton Herta winning this race. He kicks it sideways on the brakes into turn 10. Race timing screen tells us that race control is investigating the incident between Boccolacci and Herta. And this thoroughly entertaining still in the early stages. As Boccolacci navigates the chicane. He's doing all he can to stretch his legs at the front of the field. Damiano Fioravanti, as a result of all the goings on in front of him, is lurking with intent in 4th. But here comes Herta in the tow behind Ferdinand Habsburg down the start and finish straight. The angle shortens it a little bit, but Herta only 6/10 back from Habsburg as they cross the start and finish line. It would appear to be a little bit less than that as they swing out of turn 2 into the long right-hander at turn 3. Leonardo Pulcini at the tail of the field sets the fastest lap of the race, but he has been in for a new nose cone. So the Teo Martin Motorsport team, there is team principal Teo Martin, watching their man Boccolacci at the front of the field. And whilst Boccolacci is breaking away from Ferdinand Habsburg, they can enjoy it, but only partially, in the knowledge that Boccolacci is under investigation for that tag with Colton Herta. And Herta looking to get straight back onto terms with Ferdinand Habsburg. Trevor Carlin watches on as Herta pulls the pin, goes the move into turn 10, draws alongside Habsburg. Oh, that was nearly brilliant from Colton Herta. He pushes Habsburg wide, who rejoins with his nose in front. It was a lovely late move from Colton Herta, and he almost caught the Austrian by surprise. This is more like a Formula Ford race than the Formula 3 one, because they are going at it wheel to wheel on a track where history has told us it's notoriously difficult to overtake, but not this afternoon in the Euroformula Open. They come through to complete the 7th lap of the race. There's still 10 to run, and any one of this leading trio could win this. as could Damiano Fioravanti in fourth, as Herta looks like the move on Habsburg. He forces Habsburg to the inside, and Herta's going to go for it. Looks to the outside. Habsburg shuts off that avenue of attack, but the Carlin driver, Colton Herta, sure will have views on the rights and wrongs of some of the decisions that have been made and that contact with Boccalacci, but he's responding in the best possible way by just getting his head down and driving brilliantly. Out of turn 4 into turn 5. Boccalacci at the front of the field. He's romping clear now, 2.5 seconds up the road as Habsburg forced into defensive mode. Here's another look at that attempt from Herta. And again, clean driving from both of them. They just about gave each other enough room. And Herta regroups, gathers his energies for another attack here at Ferdinand Habsburg. The car of Boccalacci leads the way, still clear, and the word we're now getting from race control is the incident between Dorian Boccalacci and Colton Herta is going to be investigated after the race, so there aren't going to be any penalties, if indeed any will be applied at some point, put in place during the race. So Boccalacci leads the way, Habsburg second, third place is Colton Herta. Now in the Spanish Formula 3 Championship, this is potentially pretty good news for Colton Herta, because it is going to be another 18 points for him in the Spanish Formula 3 Championship, puts him to within 19 of Pulcini at the flag. Through the opening sequence, what the American driver is doing so well here is just sitting comfortably in the turbulent air in the wake of Ferdinand Habsburg. Fourth is Fioravanti, fifth Kevin Andres, sixth Amaya Weidenreuthen, seventh Patak, eighth Calderon, ninth Moreno, 10th Zlobin. That order, much as it has been. It's Ferdinand Habsburg getting back into his rhythm. Both drivers, both Habsburg and Herta, picking up warning flags. Certainly aggressive dicing, using all the road, maybe a little bit more. It's Habsburg again under braking, comes under pressure from Colton Herta. The American looks to try and chase down Habsburg, who runs through the right-hander. Herta picks up the throttle, chases Habsburg into turn 13, and they swing down into the chicane at 14 and 15. And this is the crucial part as Habsburg runs a little bit wide. Is Herta going to be close enough to challenge in the tow along the straight? Same for Tatiana Calderon in pursuit of Anthony Patak. They're currently fighting over 7th and 8th. And at the moment, Calderon not near enough to launch the challenge. Just shows herself to the inside of her RP Motorsport teammate. But Patak realises that Calderon far too far adrift to actually be able to make that move, stick on the brakes. Doesn't waver from the racing line, just turns in, claims the corner. Meanwhile, Colton Herta again looking to wind up the pressure on Ferdinand Habsburg. And this has been the case sometimes this year, that the DriveX car has gone away a little bit from Habsburg in race trim, but then the flip side of that is you wonder just how long Colton Herta can keep pressing and asking this much of his Michelin tyre. It's not quite as hot today, so the tyre isn't going to be risk of any degradation like it was maybe in midsummer. At the same time, Herta has been resident in that turbulent air behind Ferdinand Habsburg for the past 3 or 4 laps. Here's the race leader, Dorian Boccalacci. Boccalacci 2.3 seconds up the road from Habsburg and Herta. Leonardo Pulcini, Euroformula Open champion, down in 17th place, but really Ingel Haisen Abdullayev, his Campos Racing teammate, at the rate of a couple of seconds a lap. Race leader Boccolacci powers through, completes his 10th lap, just 7 to run. And he's looking reasonably secure for the victory. It's the battle for second place that is poised to crackle into life at any moment. It's the pair of them, Habsburg and Herta, head out of turn 3. Tatiana Calderon drew alongside Anthony Patak, but this time Patak defends the attack to the inside. And now it means that Calderon has got a little bit of pressure as well from Julio Moreno, looming onto her rear spoiler. She covers the inside line at turn 4. Nothing doing there from Moreno to the outside. But a little bit of a lunge to the inside at turn 5 can sometimes work. Tatiana Calderon knows exactly that. It means she hugs the inside of the road. No space as a result for Julio Moreno to jump past. Again, the camera angle slightly obscuring how much light there is. It's still very sunny, although we are heading into the latter afternoon now. Perfect conditions for racing. This gaggle of cars all forming up really behind Amaya Weidenheithen. Anthony Patak, Daniil Pronenko part of that scrap. So is Nikita Zlobin, and also Vasily Romanov as well, and the second of the DriveX entries. All fighting for 6th place onwards. And as one driver makes a slight error, it opens up the opportunity to others. So now it's the turn of Nikita Zlobin to look to apply a little bit of pressure to Julio Moreno. This is Vasily Romanov at the tail of the train, and then there's a fair gap to Tanart Sathienthirakul. Beyond, you see Sathienthirakul coming through the final turn, the very back of the picture. And only now is the race starting to settle down, or is it? Because Colton Herta, once more, is cruising up to the tail of Ferdinand Habsburg's car. And Habsburg, you know what, is a lot closer to Dorian Boccolacci. Last time around, Habsburg and Herta took half a second out of Dorian Boccolacci, who now leads by just 1.7 seconds. Super slow motion, the Teo Martin Motorsport driver, Dorian Boccolacci. But this is not done and dusted, because one of the questions at the start of the race was always going to be, can Dorian Boccolacci, on his debut in the championship, set the car up to work for the full 17 laps? Also, will he ask too much of the tyres along the way? Because now he's only 1.4 seconds clear of Ferdinand Habsburg, and at the end of this lap there's going to be 5 laps remaining. About 22 kilometres of racing. So this could yet get very interesting for the win between now and the flag. And we've seen it in a couple of the other races that have taken place already here today in Barcelona, that runaway race leaders have really struggled later in the race. The only thing that's going to be helping Boccolacci's charge is that the very stiff breeze that we had earlier in the afternoon has just died down a little bit. But Habsburg took another 0.2 out of Boccolacci on the course of that last lap. Colton Herta, the ever-present behind Ferdinand Habsburg. Meanwhile, buzzing and swarming this battle for 6th place down the start and finish straight. It was Daniil Pronenko who was trying to snatch the final place inside the top 10 away from Nikita Zlobin. Vasily Romanov watching with interest as Amaya Weidenheithen applying the pressure to teammate Kevin Andres. This is the fight for 5th and 6th. So that's interesting. Andres, again, his pace going away from him. 1 minute 43.8 from Andres last time around. So it means all of this group of cars behind him are starting to close up onto his tail as well. Absolutely fantastic race this, one of the best that we've seen for Euroformula Open, indeed Formula 3 cars around this Barcelona circuit for quite some time. Some brilliant scrapping all the way through the field. As Boccolacci, through the first 2 seconds on the lap, our timing screen tells us, is continuing to be caught by Ferdinand Habsburg and Colton Herta. Herta is glued to the gearbox of Habsburg's car. 4 to run. The gap from first to second as they cross the line in front of us down to just 1.2 seconds. Here you see it, and Dorian Boccolacci is going to have to get his defensive head on pretty promptly, because Ferdinand Habsburg is a lap away from getting into Boccolacci's toe. Thumbs up from the DriveX team to Vasily Romanov. Oh, here comes the sort out into turn 1. Weidenheithen to the outside of Andres. Andres squeezes out his teammate. Meanwhile, Tatiana Kulver and Anthony Patak do much the same. Collective elevation of blood pressure on team pit walls, but no change in that order. But the RP Motorsport cars now cruising onto the tail of the Carlin entries. They brought with them Julio Moreno for company. Then there's a bit of a gap back to Nikita Zlobin because he's busy defending from Daniel Pronenko and Vasily Romanov. This is absolutely brilliant as we head towards the final few laps. Pretty much every single position in the race is potentially going to change between now and the flag. The only driver who's having anything like a lonely afternoon is Damiano Fioravanti in 4th. We've got this 5-car bum fight for 5th. This has been a good lap from Kevin Andres. He's just been able to stem the pressure from Amaya Weidenheithen. Weidenheithen can see his mirrors getting increasingly full of RP Motorsport liveried cars. As they head down through turn 13. It's been a better lap from Dorian Boccolacci. He's maintained the gap to Ferdinand Habsburg and Colton Herter at 1.1 seconds. There you see it, the 3 leaders. No change. If anything, it's Herter who was possibly the driver who lost out on that occasion, because he just gave away a few tenths to Ferdinand Habsburg. 3 to run. It's 3 rookies. Well, Boccolacci doesn't count as a rookie, rather, because of his experience in FIA Formula 3. Well, it's 2 rookies inside the top 3. The rookie podium to be completed by Kevin Andres. But Dorian Boccolacci leading the way. But now the 3 leaders pretty much equidistant with each other. This has been a very good middle sector on the lap from Ferdinand Habsburg versus an excellent first sector on the lap from Colton Herter. So it's 1.9 seconds that cover the leading trio at the start of the lap. It was 1.5 seconds to cover the leading trio through sector 1. It looks like it's going to be a little bit less than that at the end of sector 2. Here we have it, 1.6 seconds. But Habsburg within a second now of Dorian Boccolacci. Boccolacci kicks the tail of the car through turn 12. 2 1/4 laps left here in Barcelona. Will it be a debut victory in the championship for Dorian Boccolacci? Will it be a second win of the year for Ferdinand Habsburg, or indeed a 4th of the year for Colton Herter? Any one of those outcomes, you could argue, is still somewhat likely. So they start the penultimate lap of the race. Is Habsburg close enough to take advantage of the tow behind Boccolacci? He crosses the line 9 tenths adrift. He took 3 tenths out of the Frenchman on the preceding lap. Looks to close up in the braking zone at turn 1. Lick of flame on the gear change. Fights the wheel out of turn 2 into turn 3. This is where the driver fitness at this stage of the afternoon starts to come into play. Habsburg trying to chase down. He takes 2 tenths out of Boccolacci through the first sector. He's just 7 tenths adrift of the Frenchman. He's now into the turbulent air. He's only going to get 1 chance at this, if that. Boccolacci has been very good in Formula Renault 2-litre racing this year. Emilio de Vallota poised. Will it be a first victory of the season for him as the manager of the Teo Martin Motorsport Euroformula Open effort? Or will it be another Spanish team, DriveX, who take the race on the brakes into turn 10? Habsburg at the moment just closing all the while for Colton Herter. He's not rolling the dice. He's not forcing a move on Habsburg, not when there is the outside chance of the race win in sight. Out of turn 12, down through 13. The Teo Martin Motorsport GT Open drivers are into the pit box to watch the progressors. A challenge behind amongst the RP Motorsport runners, and Tatiana Calderon finally is able to find a way past Anthony Patak. That is for 7th place. Coming out of turn 10, the race leaders meanwhile power past into the final lap of the race. Don't think Habsburg is quite close enough to challenge. Here's another look at the move. Patak defended, Calderon selling the dummy, forced Anthony Patak just to outbrake himself and slither wide. So here we go then, final lap of the race. Ferdinand Habsburg trying to chase Dorian Boccolacci. He has got 3 kilometres to run here in Barcelona. He's running out of corners. They swing out of turn 4, downhill towards turn 5. Can he force the error from the Frenchman? Boccolacci moves across, he covers the apex. It's nicely done. Teo Martin sending good wishes onto his driver, trying to will him home. And at the moment, Boccolacci is not putting a wheel wrong as he climbs out of turn 8 towards turn 9. Habsburg is closing, but he's not close enough as they swing out of turn 9 to challenge into turn 10. That is the best opportunity remaining in the race, and he's not close enough to make the move. He's not even close enough to force Boccolacci offline, maybe risk the French driver outbraking himself. Boccolacci then heads through a turn 11 into turn 12. Time is running out for Ferdinand Habsburg. Boccolacci gets ever closer to the checkered flag. It's been a great race as Boccolacci swings through turn 13. Just the chicane to run. He jigs through, there's no mistake, but Habsburg is with him as they head towards the final turn. But Boccolacci, the checker flag is in sight, and Dorian Boccolacci takes a superb win in the Euroformula Open at the circuit to Barcelona, Catalonia. Ferdinand Habsburg into 2nd place, and Colton Herter to complete the podium. Teo Martin and Emilio de Vallota celebrate in the pit box as the Carlin battle for 5th is decided in favour of Kevin Andres from Weideneichen. They finish behind Damiano Fiorvanti with Tatiana Calderon to 7th, ahead of Anthony Patak, Julio Moreno and Nikita Zlobin. The DriveX team celebrate on the pit wall as well. It was a really, really fine race. Plenty of talking points. Colton Herter may well see this as one that got away from him. But it's Dorian Boccolacci who has taken the win in the penultimate race of the Euroformula Open season in Barcelona. Very impressive drive for the Teo Martin Motorsport driver. Ferdinand Habsburg into 2nd, and the rookie trophy winner from Colton Herter, who completes the podium. Look then at the classification. Boccolacci wins it, Habsburg in 2nd, Herter 3rd from Fiorvanti, Andres and Weideneichen. Then Tatiana Calderon, Anthony Patak, Julio Moreno and Nikita Zlobin. Great scrap. Then Daniel Pranenko in 11th from Vasily Romanov, Tanot Sathian Thirikol, who was able to jump Javier Lovera late on. Kandisi Kassiri in 15th. Pulcini setting the fastest lap, but down in 16th after needing to pit for a new nose cone, ahead of Gulhazen Abdullayev and Diego Menchaca. So in terms of the championship then, well, Habsburg closes some ground on Pulcini, but it doesn't matter a huge amount. Colton Herter secures 3rd place in the standings, and Fiorvanti is going to make 4th interesting as he eats away at Menchaca's advantage. Well, free practice yesterday suggested that Dorian Boccolacci was going to be a driver to watch this weekend, but the way he fought up from 5th on the grid was impressive. Ferdinand Habsburg was asking all the right questions late on. In the end, he just couldn't force that opportunity from the Frenchman, and Colton Herter been behind Habsburg all race, but it's Boccolacci who celebrates in Parc Fermé. Boccolacci celebrates with the Teo Martin Motorsport mechanics as Habsburg walks clear to weigh in. The same for Colton Herter. Thumbs up from the Frenchman. He is overjoyed with that performance. And rightly so. Really nicely judged drive. And the family photos underway, celebrating in Parc Fermé.
Very well done, mate. Very well done.
Colton Herta, third in the race, second rookie. His pace all year has been so impressive. And he, like Ferdinand Habsburg, Leonardo Porcini and so many in the series, clearly going to be a star of the future. Helmet and hands device handed over to the mechanics, handshake with the Carlin team, and then on to the podium. We will be able to hear very shortly from our race winner, Boccolacci. And then it will be on to the podium festivities.
Boccolacci, first appearance in the Euroformula and first win. You must be happy.
Yeah. I'm really happy. For the team, for everybody, for me also. It's my first race in F3 Open Euro, and I'm really happy to do a great job today. The qualifying was not so good. We had some trouble, but we still did P5, and I knew that I can take a good start, and then I'm really fast at the beginning. So I directly take the third place, and then I take the first place a few laps after, and then the race was really long because I used directly the tire, and it was really hard at the end because you have Asberg and the other driver behind. They came really fast, but I win the race, and I'm really happy, and I want to thank all the team. For the incredible job, and thanks, and I hope tomorrow I will do the same because it's a fantastic day.
Let's see. Well done. Podium now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So very happy Dorian Boccolacci to victory on his debut in the Euroformula Open. So let's take a look back then at the best of the race, and off the line it was Habsburg who got the jump on Colton Herta to make it very close into turn one, and there became one of the talking points of the race. Habsburg to the inside, Herta to the outside, the American going straight across the escape route, taking the lead of the race, and he was adjudged by race control to have gained an advantage and was asked to hand the place back to Ferdinand Habsburg. Meanwhile, there was plenty of jostling going on throughout the course of the first lap. Some wonderful dicing throughout the course of the field. Leonardo Porcini, an uncharacteristically poor start, was one of those involved, but a tag for him meant a broken front nose cone and a trip into the pits. And he came back and, of course, set the fast lap. Then, as it all got a little bit too close, Boccolacci moved clear of Habsburg and then tagged Colton Herta into the spin. The American recovered brilliantly and Habsburg took the fight to the Frenchman, but Boccolacci was able to edge out the Austrian and began to build a lead as Colton Herta applied the pressure. Meanwhile, Tatiana Calderon and Anthony Patak engaged in a race-long scrap, eventually decided in favour of the Colombian. As Dorian Boccolacci scored victory in the Euroformula Open, his debut in the series despite late pressure from Habsburg, with Colton Herta to complete the podium. It was a first win for the Teo Martin Motorsport team, celebrating the pit box. So into third place for Colton Herta, runner-up Ferdinand Habsburg, and race winner Dorian Boccolacci. Onto the top step of the podium, Teo Martin Motorsport. The French national anthem in honour of Dorian Boccolacci on the top step of the rostrum. Barcelona, as we move on to the presentation of the trophies. Third place for Colton Herta and the Carlin team. Runner-up, Ferdinand Habsburg. And our race winner, Dorian Boccolacci, celebrates on the top step of the rostrum. And Teo Martin receiving the trophy on behalf of Teo Martin Motorsport, taking their first Euroformula Open win here in Barcelona. So on to the photos. And a reminder, of course, that we've got the season finale to look forward to tomorrow. It starts at 1:15 Central European time, and our coverage will start about 10-15 minutes ahead of that. So make sure that you join us tomorrow for the season finale of the Euroformula Open. For now, though, plenty to celebrate on the podium as Herta douses Boccolacci and Habsburg. And Dorian Boccolacci savours the moment. And then we turn our attention towards the rookie podium, and in particular a very good day for Carlin and their trio of rookies, all finishing inside the top six. It was Habsburg who took the rookie victory from Colton Herta, and then Kevin Andres. Some more to celebrate for the DriveX team. Habsburg, rookie champion for the 2016 campaign. But Carlin, very, very impressive first year for them in the championship as well. Wait for the drivers to come out onto the rostrum momentarily to celebrate the rookie trophy honours. Moment of celebration, of course, for the teams before they have got their attention to be turned towards qualifying and racing for tomorrow. So Andres, third place for him. Runner-up, Colton Herta. And rookie winner, Ferdinand Habsburg, onto the top step of the rostrum. Austrian national anthem for Ferdinand Habsburg, rookie winner in the first of our races for the Euroformula Open this weekend. The circuit to Barcelona, Catalunya, as presentation for third place to Kevin Andres. Second to Colton Herta. And rookie winner, overall race runner-up, Ferdinand Habsburg. So thoroughly entertaining race for the Euroformula Open here in Barcelona. The season comes to a close tomorrow, 1:15 Central European time. But until then, as the drivers make merry with the champagne, it's time for Ben Evans to say goodbye from Barcelona. We'll see you tomorrow.